Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Rose. I'm the director of the undergraduate social work program here at UNC Greensboro. This video is for upcoming seniors or students who are getting ready to go into their senior year. So you should hopefully have met me by now. So what that means is this advising video are for students who should be in social work 315, 325, and 351. You should have met with Professor Green at some point, or should be scheduled to meet with him, and are preparing for your internship. So that's specifically for these students. So if you are in social work 215, then you need to watch the other video for juniors. If you have not completed 215 yet and are still working on general education courses, we have the other video for you all. So this is specifically for students who have applied to the major, have been accepted, are in social work 315, 325, and 351, and in preparation of going into field placement. And so this video should not be that long as some of the other videos. But we're still going to go through a couple of things just to get you up to speed on what you need to do, and hopefully answer any questions. And you will need to be meeting with us in the computer lab and get your advising code. So just a couple of things I want to go over is, you've probably seen this slide before, but you need to take responsibility for education. You are getting ready to go into your final year. You're going to be doing an internship, your field placement. You're going to be working with clients and agencies. You're going to be working with the communities. And so this ability to be able to navigate this system, although it seems complex, is what you really need to be getting a handle on right now. Understanding degree works, you should be looking at degree works. You should have a grasp of degree works. You need to understand how many credit hours you have. I have a video about navigating degree works. You're getting ready to go into your final year. You need to be really clear, and I'm going to pull up the degree works to show you how to look at it, but you should be really clear on how many credit hours you have right now and how many credit hours you need to graduate, because you need 120 hours to graduate. So this is the point about taking responsibility for education, because what happens is invariably about this time next year, I get a handful of students who they'll come up to their last semester and they will not be close to 120 hours to graduate, and they get really frustrated. They're angry. They don't understand why this has happened, how it's happened, and try to explain to them that you've got to pay attention to degree works. You've got to pay attention to the curriculum. You've got to pay attention to your educational pursuits here, and you've got to take responsibility of the education that you're getting here. My job is to advise you, but I can't do these things for you. You've got to take responsibility and ownership of this education, and you got to be particularly keen and aware on how many credit hours you have and how many you need to graduate. And it's pretty laid out in degree works. It's not that difficult to find. Once you get navigated to degree works, you'll have an understanding of it. You should be finishing up those general education courses. You may have a couple more that are floating out there. That's fine. We can work with you on that. You can take them over the summer. We really prefer that you have your general education courses done before you go into your internship. It's actually a requirement. We are willing to work with students who may have one or two general education courses that they need to get done. But at the end of the day, you've got to look at those credit hours, see how many credit hours you have and how many you need going into your final year, because that determines how many credit hours you're going to be taking the fall and spring semester so you can stay on track to graduate on time. You need 120 credit hours. Most of you should be around 90 credit hours. If you take on average 15 credit hours per semester, you will graduate on time. If you're taking less than 15 credit hours, then often you will need to take classes over the summer to get caught up so that you ensure you have enough credit hours to graduate. Hopefully, we want to try to make sure everybody can graduate in May of next year. This is also the really important one. Schedule Hero, I don't know it. I don't have access to it, so it can be a little bit glitchy, I think. So you should still be able to do this in UNC Genie under registration. If not, then hopefully it'll let you do it in Schedule Hero. We're not the only program that does this. You need to be registered for 411, 413, and 415, and you need to register for them at the same time. They are co-requisites. So what that means is a prerequisite, like to be in 315, 325, and 351, you need to have completed 310 and 311. 310 and 311 are the prerequisites for these courses. 411, 413, and 415 are co-requisites, which means you have to register for them at the same time. If you try to register for one Without registering for the other two, it will not let you do that. So what that often means is you have to go into UNC Genie, go into registration, go to the add drop section, and they have these little blocks, these little triangle blocks where you manually enter the CRN number for 411, 413, 415, and then you click the update, and it'll allow you to register for those three courses at the same time. Schedule Hero should have an option where you will be able to do that. Hopefully, we can look at it at some point, but I know you can do it through registration when you go into UNC Genie. But just as a reminder, you have to register for those three at the same time. 411 is the Methods 1 course, and 413 and 415 are Field and Field Seminar. That's your internship and your internship seminar. So if any of those are full, which they shouldn't be, but if any of those are full, you need to let me know, because what may happen is 411 may fill up and then you can't get into 413, 415 because 411 is full. You need to let me know, and I can do overrides so that you can get into each one of those sections. You register for 411 Methods 1 for whatever works for the schedule and who you want to register for. You register for 413 and 415 on what's open. What's open, don't worry about what professors listed. You register for what's open, and then we manually put you in the field seminar and field section that you need to go in. That being said, you should know by now, I can do overrides to get you in the social work classes. I cannot do overrides to get you in other classes. This will come up, especially with students who are going in their final year. You may be working on a minor like Human Development Family Studies or something like that, and a course is closed out, and students reach out to me and say, hey, can you get me in this Human Development Family Studies course? I don't work for Human Development Family Studies. I'm in the social work program, so I can't get you in these other classes. You have to reach out to departments and programs to get into those particular classes. So if a class is full, if you're trying to get a general education course done and the class you're looking at works for your schedule and it's full, I can't get you in that class. You have to reach out to that department or that particular professor to see if they will let you in that class, but I can do overrides to get you into social work classes. Students in their final year are required to take 2 upper level electives. It gets kind of confusing. This used to be 500 level electives, and so they were a little bit more manageable to understand, but they're 400 level electives now. And so we often will have a limited number of 400 level electives. If you are working on school social work licensure, then you need to be in the school social work class. We offer social services for children. We offer social work and substance use. We don't offer all these classes each semester, but we offer them either one semester or the other. So you need to look through those lists of 400 level courses and determine which upper level elective that you need. And I'm willing to work with students because we often have a limited number of upper level electives. So I'm willing to work with students to count courses in other programs and majors towards your upper level elective. So if you're working on a minor in Human Development Family Studies or Peace and Conflict Studies or African Diaspora Studies or Women and Gender Sexuality Studies, many of you have gotten an email from me that if you take Women, Gender, Sexuality Studies 270 over the summer, which is LGBTQI plus course, I will count that towards one of your upper level electives. You just need to reach out to me to say, hey, I'm looking at counting this course towards my upper level elective, and then I'll work with you. The reason we're doing this is we don't want to limit your options. This is your education. Just like we're saying you need to take responsibility for it, we also want you to learn and grow. And so we do offer upper level electives, but we want you to be able to take courses in other programs and majors. It's not a philosophy course unless the philosophy course maybe is like philosophy of the family. Often courses I'll have students look at is, I think sociology offers a course like, sociology and families. They offer a course like drugs and society. Public health offers a course on, I think it's alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. And so these are courses you may be interested in because this is the type of work that you're interested in doing. Much like with Peace and Conflict Studies, I'll have students look at upper level courses. So if you're working on a minor, if you're working on a simultaneous degree, or if you see a course in another department or program that is aligned to your interest in social work, let me know, and then we'll consider doing that as an upper level elective. I just have to do a curriculum modification course to make sure it counts towards that upper level elective. It's not going to happen automatically. So plagiarism, this has kind of come up a couple of times. So I need to kind of help remind students about this a little bit. Plagiarism, and I joke about this because I basically copied and pasted this from the UNCG website. So anytime you take something from another source and you use it as your own and don't credit that source, that is considered plagiarism. So if you were to copy and paste something from like a website or from somebody else's paper, from a journal article, and you put it in your paper and you submit it, but you don't properly cite that source, that's plagiarism. The thing about plagiarism is it hits two issues for social workers. One is it is a code of conduct issue at the university. So what that means is if you plagiarize something, you have violated the university's code of conduct, and you can be held accountable in the code of conduct issue. The other one is it is a social work values and ethics, a code of conduct, or our social work ethical value violation. We have 6 ethical values. One of them is integrity. We are accredited by the Council of Social Work Education. So what that means is if you plagiarize something, this is much like cheating, not only are you violating the code of conduct of the university, but you violated our code of ethics. And so in the department, we take that very seriously because integrity is a really important part of what we do in social work. And just to let you know, you have to be really observant and aware that we use an online platform called Canvas. All universities and colleges use some type of online platform, either Blackboard, Moodle, or Canvas. And what happens is once you submit paper, maybe at another institution, or once a student submits a paper, it gets kind of registered with those online platforms, and then you're able to kind of recognize it throughout the internet. So we have a program on Canvas that faculty uses called Turnitin. And what that does is when you submit a paper to us, the Turnitin function will review the paper, and then it scours the internet to see if you've done any plagiarism, and it will catch it if you've actually used something from another source. How sensitive this program is not only will it look at websites and journal articles and papers by other people, but if a student has uploaded a paper at another university or college and have used any type of online platform such as Moodle, Canvas, or Blackboard, Turnitin will detect that a student has turned in a paper similar to the one that you have turned in. It won't tell us who turned the paper in. It will just say that a student at such and such college or university has turned the paper in, and 75% of this paper is related to that paper. So what that means is if you're a student in my policy class and you submitted a paper last year and you give it to one of your friends and they're reviewing the paper just to show them like, oh, this is what he's looking for. And then that person decides, you know what, I'm going to just copy and paste from this paper. Turnitin will notify the professor that a student in my policy class last year turned in a paper that has 75% or 50% or how much percentage of the paper is similar to the paper you just submitted. Or if you were at another college or university and you submit a paper like you were at community college and you turn the paper in online and you decide, you know what, I'm going to turn in the same exact paper with this professor here at UNC Greensboro, it will detect and notify us that a student, it won't say who, but a student at such and such college or university has turned in the paper similar to this. That's how sensitive that program is, and that's how we can detect plagiarism. So we take plagiarism very seriously. We'd like to try to take care of it within the department. We'd like to use an educational opportunity, but if it becomes a chronic issue, in other words, you do this more than a couple of times, then we will refer you to the university as a code of conduct violation, and it can jeopardize your standing at the university, and it will go on your permanent record. So you want to make sure that you don't plagiarize, and you want to make sure that when you do use sources outside of yourself, that you properly cite those sources using APA formatting, which most of the professors take. So just be aware that plagiarism is taken very seriously in the social work program. Email etiquette, as you recognize by now, you get an automated response in my office hours because email has become unmanageable, especially under the era of COVID, because that's how we primarily communicate with each other. We have over 300 students in the program. I'm generally the primary point person for a lot of questions. And I'm also fielding questions from community college students and high school students who are interested in the program. And so I get a number of emails. And so that's why you get the automated response, come to my office hours, we'll take care of the situation as quickly as we can. And that's what we try to do. What I really try to caution students, and this is really important for you all who are getting ready to go into your senior year, is that you really want to ensure that your emails are constructed in a professional way. The first thing here is check 3 before me. What that means is often I'll get emails like they're texts. Hey, can you help me do this? And it is something that generally students can find out if they just Google it, look on the website, or look at the BSW handbook, or even ask one of your classmates. And what I'll often will get an email, and like 10 minutes later, I'll get an email like, never mind, I figured it out. Because we often, especially in the era of COVID and with internet and technology, we kind of function in crisis mode a lot. And so we expect instant kind of responses to our things. And so instead of maybe taking a second, being mindful, let me think if I can figure this out, we will just kind of issue a text message to one of our friends saying, hey, could you help me with this? I don't function that way because we have over 300 students in the program. I really need for you to step back. And this is really where you start to use your critical thinking skills and start thinking like a social worker. How can I figure this out? Or is there a way I can figure this out before I email the director of the program or my professor about something to see where I can find this information? So before you kind of immediately kind of send the email asking a question about something, stop and think, is there another place I can find that source? That helps to reduce the amount of traffic of emails that I get and our professors get. And you will often find that you can figure something out. Now, if you can't figure it out, by all means, please email me. We do want to make sure you get the proper and correct information, but you do maybe want to check and see if this information is somewhere else. You also want to really construct these emails in a professional manner using salutations like Dear Dr. Rhodes or Dear Professor Webb or Dear Professor Green. If you don't know whether we have a PhD or not, just assume that you're going to call us professor because that's usually the title we all go by. And so you want to think about those terms. Don't send an email like, hey, what's up? How's it going? Or anything like that. Be cautious with the informality because you want to think about this as you start to reach out to agencies that you're thinking about doing your internship. You want to make sure that you send a professional email. Let them know that you are taking this very seriously. So don't send them an email like, hey, Professor Green set me up to meet with you. What time do you want to meet? Construct it in a professional manner. If I am communicating with the provost of the Chancellor's University who functions as my boss, I'm going to email them, Dear Provost Storrs, Dear Chancellor. I'm going to email them in a very professional manner, and I'm going to have a well-constructed email. Think about that when you're emailing us, and not an email like, hey, can you tell me when this paper's due? I have a large number of students. Just by your email, I may not know what even class of mine you're in. So you want to be very specific. As most of you know, I meet with a large number of students and I go over a large amount of detail with each student. And so I will often agree to things that I need you all to remind me on because I do this with a large number of students. So you may email me like, hey, do this for me, or you said you're going to do this, or do you remember saying you're going to do this? Most likely, I don't remember. I have multiple office hours, and for those of you who've come in, I'm generally seeing a lot of students every week, and I'm agreeing to things. I had a student, this is an example I've used, and some of you probably heard this example before a few years ago, where I had agreed to do a curriculum modification for a student. I just said, you need to follow up with me at the end of the semester. The student followed up with a very kind of short, terse email like, here, I need for you to do this. And I responded back. There was no salutation. I responded back like, well, no, what you need to do is you need to take this class for this requirement. And the student responded, literally said, what has changed since the last time we met? So I had to write a very well-constructed email to say, I don't remember the last time we met, and I need for you to be very specific of what you're asking me. That would have really reduced the amount of traffic back and forth if the student had just stopped and thought about, we had talked about this 3 or 4 months ago. I know he has met with a large number of students between now and then, has probably agreed to a large number of ideas and things. So I need to sit down and say, when we met the last time, you agreed to do this. I just want to remind you that you're supposed to do a curriculum modification or something like that. So just make sure that when you construct the email that you write very clearly and plainly what it is that you're asking, and don't assume that I remember or that any of the professors remember that we've had a very specific conversation with you about this information. Practice courtesy, avoid abbreviations like LOL or OMG. You know, I'm relatively informal with emails, but I think, you know, and I'm not going to necessarily get on to you about this, but I really do want to reinforce that you are stepping into a professional program, you're stepping into a professional field, and you want to think about constructing these emails professionally. It is very helpful It is not necessary, but it's very helpful when you email us that you put your name and your student ID number. I would caution and discourage you from putting your UNCG ID number in the signature that goes out in every email that you send at all times, just because that UNCG ID number is a sensitive number. For most of you all, you have been assigned a 6-digit PIN code to log into your UNCG ID, and your 6-digit PIN code is your birth date, and most of you have not changed that. So if you are putting this in your signature that goes out to every email that you send, it's probably not that challenging for a person to find out what your 6-digit birth date is, and they can log into your UNC Genie account. And there's a lot of sensitive information in there, such as your birth date, which they could find, such as maybe your address, your phone number, and possibly your social security number, your financial aid information is all in there. So you could send UNCG ID number to us, one of the professors, because then we can look your information up, but don't put in your signature that goes out to every email that you send at all times. Okay, so that's that. And what I want to do is I want to pull up DegreeWorks and just kind of walk you through it. Most of you should be familiar with DegreeWorks by now. Some of you, there may be still a couple of questions. But I've got the video about navigating DegreeWorks. There's just a couple things I need to help kind of navigate a couple of you students through with this, in that most of you should be now under what's called the Minerva Academic Curriculum. There is a handful of you that may still be under the General Education Core, and that's fine. You just need to make sure that you've got most of these general education courses requirements met. The two things that you really need to pay particular attention to as you go into your final year, I'm going to try to enlarge this a little bit, is right here where it says semester hours required is 120, and right below it, semester hours applied. That is the number of credit hours you have completed and are currently enrolled in. So when you register for the spring or for the fall semester, that number is going to go up. Even though you're not in those courses, the DegreeWorks recognize you as being enrolled in those courses. That number is going to go up. And that will be somewhat confusing for you, in that you have to determine this based on the number of courses you have completed and are currently enrolled in. So towards the end of the spring semester, you're currently enrolled in 315, 325, 351, and you're probably enrolled in 411, 413, 415, and an upper level elective, and whatever electives that you're going to be enrolled in. So it'll be at the end of this spring semester, that number is going to look what it's going to look like at the end of the fall semester when you complete the courses. So if you wind up dropping a course over, like if you register for a course over the summer, you wind up dropping a course, then that means that number is going to go down. So you always need to be monitoring your DegreeWorks to determine what the semester hours are that are applied and the semester hours required. I still get this question, which means you are not watching the videos and you are not paying attention to DegreeWorks, because students will look up here at UNCG credit earned, or they'll scroll down here and look at semester hours required here, and it's throwing you off because you're not paying attention to the right spot. UNCG credit hours is not the number that you need to look at. It is the semester hours required, which is 120. I doubt there's any of you that need 122 credit hours. The General Assembly eliminated that several years ago. We may have one or two possible students that have that, but most likely all of you need 120 hours, and then the semester hours applied are the number of credit hours that you are currently enrolled in and have completed. Those are the two numbers you need to look at. You need to subtract that one from the top one, and that tells me how many credit hours you need to graduate. It's not that difficult to figure out. You need to, and also for the summer courses, if you are trying to stay on top of this, summer registration is open now, and you just need your spring advising code to register for summer courses. If you've lost that advising code, just reach out to me and I'll get that to you. Most likely you need to come into my office hours. Most of these courses will have been taken care of if you are an associate's arts degree student. So if you've completed an associate's arts degree at a community college, you won't see this Minerva Academic Curriculum. It will have collapsed. And so the only thing you'll see is the major in social work. If you've transferred in and you don't have an Associates of Arts degree, let's say you have an Associates of Applied Science and Human Services, you still have general education courses that you need to meet. These are the university required courses. I have no control over these courses. These are the required courses that the university expects you to complete. Math, oral communication, natural science. These are university required courses. So you need to meet these requirements. There is a legend right here over to the left that tells you if you've completed this course or not. So if you're emailing me and you say, I don't know if I've completed the quantitative reasoning course, the only thing I'm going to do is look at your degree works. If there's not a check mark there, you haven't completed it. And that tells me that you haven't looked at your degree works. So you need to look at your degree works. If there's a little green check mark along these things right here, that means you've completed them. What confuses students is you will see all these boxes checked and you will think, I've done everything I needed, but you still need 15 hours of electives to meet the 120-hour requirement to graduate. So even though they're all check marks, this is what will happen. Students will come up to me like, this doesn't make any sense. I've done everything I needed to do. No, you still have 15 credit hours. This is why I often encourage students to do minors, because minors are 15 to 18 credit hours. So you need 15 credit hours. If you're going through and you're counting the number along the side here, it's not showing it because there's no courses are taken. If you're counting these numbers and it's coming up with a different number than this one right here, semester hours applied, your number is wrong, because this number is always going to be correct. If you're going down, I had a student do this last year. If you're going down and you're counting these numbers, I've had a couple of students who've done this. If you're going down and you're counting these numbers, what's happening is you're counting a course twice. So this psychology course, Introduction to Sociology, these courses also meet the requirements for social and behavioral science. So what that means is there'll be a check box up here and then a check mark in the box down here. And so you're counting the numbers. You've taken one class, but you're counting it as 6 credits. One class is 3 credits, not 6 credits, even if it meets in a couple of different places. So you're counting the numbers is not going to be correct over this number right here. This number is going to be correct. So you're going to come to me and you're like, I've counted the numbers. This is not right. This is not right. And I'm telling you the semester hours applied is the number that's going to be correct. Anything else that you count or something like that is going to be incorrect. So you want to look at this number right here. These are our upper level elective courses. They'll be right there. And any of these other boxes that are missing, you need to let me know. We can work on it and try to figure out what you need to do to complete those courses. That's pretty much it. You just need to plan to show up for advising. We'll look at your degree works. We'll kind of determine where you are, what you need to take, and go from there. This is an exciting time. You're getting ready to step into your senior year. You're going to be in your internship. This is really a wonderful time for seniors. This is where you get really excited. You start doing the things, all these theories and things that you're talking about. You're in professional skills right now. You're learning how to interact with people, and you start applying those skills, working with clients directly in the field. We are always very excited, our seniors, as they get ready to step into the field. So we're really excited for you. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll plan to see you during advising week. I hope you all have a great rest of the spring break, and I will talk to you later. Bye.